What do you think's in the water in Utah that makes people such good door-to-door people?
Not the water. You got a religion.
How do you get around no soliciting in neighborhoods?
I'm going to give two answers to that.
Solar's done.
There's never been a better time, in my opinion, to hop into solar. I've got guys that are 20 to 25 making several $100,000 a year. I got a 25-year-old to make over $1 million this year selling solar.
I was going to say, I know a solar kid that he was like 23 doing 50 grand a month.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm like, a month?
We got guys doing that left and right.
What's the number one objection they get at the door, you think? The number one objection that they're going to hear at the door?
Sure.
What it is, Brad Lee back again with another episode of Dropping Bombs. Today in the studio, folks, I got a real treat for you. Tyler Bastian in the house. What's happening?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me on here.
Folks, if you guys don't know who he is, this dude started in direct sales at like 13 years old, took his hustle into the college tennis court, and then turned that grind into a sales career that's now redefining solar. After dominating at Vivint and Solar City, he founded VITL Power, a company so strong the nation's largest solar installer, Freedom Forever, came knocking and acquired half of it. That's bitching. Now they're scaling towards 50 million in revenue with 1,000-person sales team nationwide. Best of the best. Not bad for a Utah kid with a squeegee.
With a squeegee. Once upon a time, man. Hey, squeegee.
But again, dude, it says here, success isn't the full story. This dude's had to rebuild through divorce, navigate a deep faith transition, and survive the gut punch loss of a brother, sister, and father, all while leading a rocket ship of a business and raising 3 kids. 40 years old, shredded, switched on. He's here to drop bombs on mindset, adversity, high performance sales, and staying human while building an empire. And quite frankly, if you guys are paying attention, opportunity, folks. Because I was telling you in the boardroom, like there's so many people out there working in a kitchen, digging ditches, in a limited position in life, and they're busting their ass, man, and they're working harder than I think door-to-door guys work. Because to me, I'm a sales guy. I've always have been. That's not a difficult job. The difficulty is mental, getting rejected. When in reality, if you can get past that, like, dude, walking from door to door, having conversations, building relationships, and making 20, 30, 40 G's a month, that's real in the solar game.
Well, not just in the solar game, too. Like, there's a lot of opportunities. Shoot, my 15-year-old kid right now just saved up 10 grand in the last 3 months to buy his first car, and he's just out knocking doors, washing windows.
Yeah, started a window business.
We averaged his numbers the other day, which, you know, he's been able to get some training from somebody who knew a little bit more than the average individual might. But either way, he's just going around asking people if they want their windows done. And
people want it.
He's averaging around $100 an hour right now. 15 years old. I mean, experience. There's so, you just have to be willing.
So let's go back and talk about the pain. What happened? What's the pain part? You lost a family, the whole family? What happened?
So here's the funny thing. I didn't realize this when I booked this podcast. So this is a very interesting way to start it off. So today is July 22nd. Today's 19 years from the day I got the phone call that I lost my brother and sister in a car accident. So today's a heavy day. So
how long ago was that?
We looked down, saw the date, and I was like, well, you know, maybe that was just supposed to be. So this is what we'll do.
How long ago was it?
19 years. Yeah. So I was 21, just turned 21. It was my first actual summer doing door-to-door security sales. And I was sitting at a table just signing somebody up, got that phone call, not one you want to get. And not a good time.
You know, I always think about when people lose people, that imagine if when you die, there's no time where you go. And so where you're already there, you just don't know it yet. So like they don't miss you because you're there too. You're just not aware of it because there's no time, right? So if there was no time, imagine we all just die right now. He lives another 40 years. He misses us, but we don't miss him because when you pass over, we're all there.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
I read that. Who's that quote? I listened to a quote the other day. I want to say it was Keanu Reeves. He was on a Tonight Show. I don't remember which Tonight Show it was, but he got asked. I think it was Stephen Colbert. I want to say it was. And it's probably an old clip, but he got asked, "What do you think happens when he dies, or when you die?" And he sits back for a minute, and you think he's about to give some philosophical answer of like, this is what he thinks is going to happen. He just goes, "I know that the people that love us will miss us." And it was just like the perfect quote, and I'm like, yeah, none of us have a damn clue. It's fun to think about. It's fun to wonder. But that's the true reality. It's like, that's what we know for sure.
What do you think happens?
Oh, man.
It says here you had a deep faith transition.
Yeah, I grew up in the Mormon faith, and so much respect for a lot of different good things from that faith. My upbringing, I had a great upbringing, great family, great parents, great just childhood in general, and a lot of good things that have come from that. But, I look now and I like to think of a lot of different things. I am definitely not an atheist. I absolutely believe that there's more after this. I believe that we're more than just whatever this experience is here. So I think we continue on. I think we keep learning. I think we keep growing. I think we keep having experiences. I just don't have anything that I'm going to say, I know that this happens, So that's kind of why I like that quote, is I'm like, we know that for sure.
So obviously that was a tough pill to swallow, but obviously you couldn't do anything about it. So, I mean, did it wreck you, or was it just sad?
No, sad is an understatement, of course. Devastating, tragic, 15-year-old sister, 20-year-old brother at the time. And
were they together in a car?
Yeah.
Just the two of them?
I had a friend in the back seat, but she came out with nothing but scratches. And so that was, she was okay. But just the two of them, as far as, the ones that passed. And you're to ask what effect it had on me. I would say emotionally, I wasn't prepared to handle it, and there's a lot of different ways you could respond. I think the biggest way I responded, I go back to this moment anytime I tell this story, where obviously I was out in the middle of doing the summer cells door-to-door thing, and I came home and we had funeral and services and spent about 2 weeks at home, and we had to head back out. And we didn't have to. We had an opportunity to go back out. The summer was 2 weeks longer, left. And the truth is, I was 20 years old. I had just made more money in 3 months I ever could have imagined making. I didn't need to go back out and finish with what would happen. Quite frankly, I probably should have just stayed home. But I went into my dad's office. My brother and I were sitting there chatting with him, and we were trying to decide, do we go back? And there's only 2 weeks left. Do we just, call it quits, or do we go back? And he just asked us a simple question. He said, "Well, what did you initially plan on doing?" We said, "Well, this was the date we were supposed to finish." And he just said, "We finish. That's it. Like, we finish. If that's what you were going to do, then you're still going to finish. Life has to go on, And I think that was a really stoic, answer from my dad, which I appreciate. And I really embodied that. And I would say I tucked it all down. I shoved it down deep, and I went to fucking work. That's what I did. And I learned to bury everything there. I learned to compartmentalize it all. And I would say it made me far better at my job, and I started to use it. There's an advantage and a disadvantage to this. If I look back at my 21-year-old self on one end, super proud of the response. I think a lot of people could turn to a lot of terrible, ways to deal with a tragic event like that in their life, or a traumatic situation. And I'm proud of how I handled it. But also, I think I was unaware of the emotional processing that I didn't do. But the trait that came out of it was ultimate compartmentalization. I think a lot of people use, regardless what their job is, but especially in commission-based sales, it's so mental, and they use whatever hard thing is happening in their life, which there's always something hard happening in our lives. It never really stops, right? You get through one, something else is going to pop up. And most people use that as an excuse of how to not go do the job, or why they're not doing what they need to do. And I kind of use it as the opposite. That was my out. That's where I could go to forget about it all. If I was busy talking to somebody on a porch or in a house, or, thinking about competing against somebody, then my mind was occupied, and that's where I kept it, so. And
then obviously lost the father eventually.
Yeah, it was 3 years later. So not far after, him and I were mountain biking, and, passed away in my arms. And that was a brutal,
what from?
Brutal moment. It's a great question. We assume it's cardiac arrest, but 5 minutes prior to that, we've been hanging out in the parking lot, drove up, started riding for about 5 minutes, and just that was it.
See, that tells you.
He was in incredible health. Like, he's 54 years old, amazing health, never had a health problem, had recently just had a physical. I mean, there was no rhyme or reason. It was just it. So,
well, that's what people need to understand. Because again, people don't realize, man,
yeah,
doesn't matter you're in perfect health. When it's time, it's time.
Yep.
And you don't know when it's time. So you need to appreciate the time that you have.
Yep.
If you could change anything that you did, would you? Like, did you tell them you love them enough? Was everything great? And, it's just, or was there any lesson you learned from it?
I didn't have it, that I'm grateful for that. I didn't have any unsaid thing. I mean, shoot, when you have no time to prepare and it's just a snap of a finger, there's a million things you'd like to be able to say just because, right? You didn't have the chance and you didn't know. Luckily, no unsaid, friction or negative energy that was out there that needed to be dealt with or resolved. So I don't luckily have that, and a lot of people probably do that they've got to deal with in those scenarios. And for that, I hurt for those people because that would be an extra layer that.
That'd be terrible.
It's just an extra layer that you don't want to have to deal with. It's hard. And,
yeah, because imagine, man, something happens like that sudden, and you were arguing over something minuscule where you thought it might have been a big deal. Then when something like that happens, you realize, man, that was stupidity.
Yeah, I think, you come to realize it's just, it's not worth holding negative energy, right? There's time and a place where you got to separate from certain things or certain people for whatever reason, but holding on to things rather than letting them go and moving on and it's a big deal. So I think our time here matters, regardless of what you believe and what you do or don't think happen afterwards. I think it matters. I think how you live your life here matters, and I think it's going to roll over in some way that we're going to be glad or sad about whatever we did in some way. So,
what do you think's in the water in Utah that makes people such good door-to-door people? Seems like Utah's where all the door-to-door champions are from.
Oh, that one's I think that one's a simple one, truthfully, not the water. You got a religion, straightforward. You got, a high percentage of young adults, 18, 19 years old, who make the decision or have the expectation that they're going to go serve a church mission and spend 2 years of their life not being compensated in any financial way. Obviously, there's a lot of things you learn and experience that are huge, net benefits when you go out and serve a mission for the church. Yeah, there's so much. I got to learn a language. I got to experience a new culture. I got to think outside the box and see something. Growing up in suburban Utah, I served a couple-year mission in Mexico and lived in a third world areas where I was washing my clothes. And so there's so much you gain from that. But yeah, mental fortitude. You're away from your family for a certain period of time. You can't speak to them on phone calls. It's all via letter. You're uncomfortable is what you are. You learn uncomfort very early, and you learn that, you came to do something, you said you were going to do it, and you learn to accomplish something regardless how uncomfortable or hard it is. And so whether you're learning a language or getting rejected on a doorstep, and people learn a lot from those missions that are probably underestimated and not fully understood unless you've been there. And, so you had some smart entrepreneurs who thought, hey, we should start paying these kids, and came up with a business model that I think a lot of people look at as old school or don't realize that it's a multi-billion-dollar industry today. But at the end of the day, no matter how far technology comes, sales will never end, and communication skills will never stop. And people like human-to-human interaction. So for all the people who hate door-to-door, just as many love the face-to-face human interaction when they find somebody they can trust and communicate.
So how do you get around no soliciting and laws that prohibit you from soliciting in neighborhoods?
I'm going to give two answers to that. The one side is going to be the very professional CEO answer, which is, and I mean this, if you are going to run a scalable company, you need to deal with that. You have to have a proper licensing department. You need to go into areas and you need to get the actual permits. And what I will say, the other side of it is, how did I for a lot of my career? Early on, people didn't do much of that. It wasn't pushed as much. Our industry was smaller 20 years back, and there weren't so many issues. But working at some of the companies I did, I'll use Vivint as an example. the larger they grew before they became the multi-billion dollar, uh, corporation that they have, they went through some tough times where they had to learn from that, and over time, that caused them to be more professional. It caused them to scale, caused them to do things the right way. And so I've seen that over my career, companies that have done it the wrong way versus the right way. So
what's the wrong way? Ignore the law?
Yeah, ignore it and just go through. And today, man,
because that's what I would have done.
Well, social media, and I can't even tell you how many countless times I've worked in neighborhoods without a soliciting permit, and it's just never been a problem.
Well, how do you get a soliciting permit?
You got to go to the cities.
Will they give them out?
Oh, yeah, but you have to fill out applications. You got to pay.
So that's all they're doing is creating a revenue.
Money. Yeah, that's why a lot of people, and that's why I say there's two sides of the coin. The one is you absolutely should do this, because if not, you just look. First, you want customers. Number one, you want customers to feel safe. And when you're permitted by the city, and depending on the city, some of them background check, some of them don't, but there's at least a level of comfort there and security that they feel dealing with a human that at least went to their city and the city knows they're there. And I think there's a lot of value in that, especially with social media. Back in the day, like, even if somebody found out you didn't have one, it's like there's not really much like that's going to happen. They even call the police. Police are usually going to show up and just say, hey, please go get a permit, and if you're doing a good job, you're not doing anything shady, it's probably not the end of the world. But unfortunately, our industry's grown. There's a lot of bad actors out there, and to avoid appearing as one, being associated with those, causing more problems for a business or for yourself. And in the day of social media and doorbell cameras on every porch, if you don't do things the right way, you're going to get called out so quickly and expose yourself to an entire neighborhood that you're going to have a really hard time doing the job. So I think it's more important today than ever to do it the right way. But in the past, have we seen everything in between and worked around those things? Absolutely. And for the most part, it's been totally fine. But every now and then something comes from it that you pay the price for not doing it the right way. And anybody who's been in our space long enough has learned, like, it's never worth it to do it any other way but the right way.
Does every individual rep need to get a license, or does the company get the permit?
Totally depends on the city. Every county, every city is different. And that's why sometimes it can be a difficult part of our space to properly abide by it, especially because, sometimes you get a team of guys, they show up to a certain city, start working there. 2 days later, they're not filling the city and they move for whatever reason. And so getting permits in every single city and knowing how long you're going to be in one and whether it's worth doing it, it can be a little bit complicated. It's definitely an area of the business that if you want to do it the right way, which pays off for so many reasons. If you do, if I'm a manager who's going to do it the right way, first, I'm going to strategize about the area. I'm not going to play it day by day. I'm going to have a plan for the next 6 to 12 months of how many people, where I'm going to take them, what the area management's going to be. I'm going to get ahead of that. I'm going to map out the cities I need to go to. I'm going to go there weeks in advance, apply for the permits, not wait till the day I show up in this new city to do it. And if you do it that way, your reputation remains intact. You can stay in those neighborhoods longer. Every time you work with a customer, you can say, hey, most people aren't permitted. I am. Could you give me a shout out on social media? And I'll kick you a gift card for helping spread that we're doing the right thing around here. And you do that the right way, man, the referrals and the thing, it can explode. You do it the other way, it can explode in the opposite way. So you get back what you put in, and if you put in time, preparation, and strategy, then you can work in neighborhoods for a lot longer and be a lot more successful.
So how did knocking on doors at 13 years old, what were you selling? Jesus?
So no, man, that wasn't until I, did the whole church mission thing. But
they're 18, right?
Yeah, 18 now is 19 back then, but yeah. So
yeah, I mean, and again, dude, to me, if you're Mormon and you go out on a mission, you're literally, how was that, by the way? Like, do you guys really get rejected?
Oh man, yeah, shoot.
Because I'm polite,
How many people want to be sold a new religion? I mean, you think about
especially in Mexico, they're all pretty much Catholic.
Man. Oh, that's all you hear.
So what would you get at the door?
I'm Catholic. That was literally the most common phrase I probably heard. We're Catholic. I mean, that's just what they would say. So and
then what would you say?
Oh shoot, man, you're making me go back 20 years. A lot of the things we would do, because that was the response.
Would they train you on what to say?
A little bit. Yeah. I mean, we definitely got some training on that, but not like you had some in-depth sales training, nothing like you would get in, some sales job like this. Probably the best angle we would take is just service orientation. We got to the place where it wasn't about, I'd like to come share a message with you. we were just out there to serve anyways. And so probably one of the coolest things is we'd spend most of our day knocking on doors, just saying, hey, we're just doing service work. Can we wash your dishes, or is there anything around the house you need, or anything that, you haven't got around to? Like, we're just here to help. That's it. And, nobody's mowing lawns in Mexico. Nobody has lawns in the areas we were at, but we would wash dishes for people all the time that had mounted up for just older ladies that, needed some help around the house. So things like that. And then you'd strike up conversations, and you'd, build a relationship and build trust. And then they'd be more interested in who you are. And
they wouldn't wonder why a gringo is walking around.
Yeah. Well, they knew who you were, right? You're in a suit and tie and you got a thing. You tell them who you are. You just offer service. And most people would still say no. But once somebody said yes, and you're spending some time around them, then you probably build a relationship and then convert that to a lesson that you start teaching them. And then you go into the religious side.
I had a couple of missionaries come to my house once, and one of them, his last name was Barry.
Yeah.
So it was Elderberry. And the other one was Felder.
Elder Felder?
Yeah. So they said, I'm Elderberry and this is Elder Felder. And I'm like, am I being punked? Yeah. Like, I didn't believe it, but it was true. What is elder? Are they elders now at 19?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just it's an ordination.
But does elder mean older like it would in a tribe?
No, not older. It's a level of what's the word I'm looking for? But it goes from there's levels that get ordained in a certain role in the church. So it goes from like deacon to teacher to priest to elder at 18, and later on there's a few ones that you can.
Elders go higher than priest?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. Yeah.
So these little 18-year-old whippersnappers are higher than the priests?
Yeah. The priests are 16 years old. So 16 to 18, you're a priest.
But they're not the priest.
No, it's not how you think about it in most. It's a very different hierarchy of.
Are you still Mormon?
You get ordained as? No.
See, my brother's Mormon. He always tries to tell me I need to be.
Yeah.
And so I'm open to all religions. So I said, well, tell me about it. And he said, you just have the missionaries come over.
Yeah, that's what I said.
And Elderberry and Elder Felder.
And Elder Felder, dude, they got you.
Over.
They got you.
And I'm like, dude, come on. This is like a joke. Has to be. And then they told me to read out of this book. Like I think it was Moroni or something.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to just pray.
Just pray and ask if it's true.
Yeah. And I'll be confirmed or acknowledged. Yeah. So I did, and it didn't.
It didn't work.
Yeah. So I'm like, well, I don't really feel.
Some might say that you just weren't in tune and listening.
Maybe.
Who knows?
But then they got into, you can be a god too. And I'm like, what? Yeah, you can be a god of your own world. If you do it right, you'll be a god and you'll have your own world.
Yeah.
That's when I started going, well, let me look into this later.
Here's what's funny about that.
And then someone told me, by the way, they weren't supposed to tell you that, because I got them talking. Way beyond the lessons.
That was supposed to be way later. You try to stick to certain lessons. You got to slow drip it. That was they went a little deep a little soon.
Yeah.
Here's the funny thing about that one though. I'm no longer Mormon. I'm not affiliated with any religion. I consider myself very spiritual at this point in time, but no denominations or anything like that. But that one, the one that one always gets me, why that one is actually such a big standout to people. But
here's because there's only supposed to be one God.
No, I get that, right?
So then how can you be one if there's only one? Here's
my logic, even though I'm not arguing for that, right? I don't care. I don't have a dog in the fight anymore. But my logic behind that is that doesn't seem that crazy to me. I mean, if you do believe in a God and you believe that we're his offspring, I'm like, if I'm a dad, my kids, I want them to be as good or better than me. That one, I always had a hard time why that was such an issue. It's like, if we're the offspring, aren't we already?
Yeah.
If we're offspring of God, aren't we already gods? What are we talking about here? Aren't we them? Isn't he us?
Theoretically.
What are we doing here? Why is that so hard for people? So that one was always a tough one for me to get by, why that was such a big deal. But again,
well, you can believe in a burning bush.
Yeah.
You know, if you can believe in any of it, why can't you believe in any other part of it? That's the part I don't understand.
To me, that's what I like to hang on to. I actually like to hang on to the idea that I think we are absolutely all creators. And I think we're in control of our lives. And I think what we do here will go on beyond. And I think we have the ability to create. So I think that all happens here. And I think it's energy. And I think it's just a little bit different than religions try to paint sometimes. And I think there's just one right way. But I absolutely think that That's kind of my take on things anyway. So
I agree with that.
That
we
one I
are
never
creators.
understood why people take that one so big. I'm like, if we're the offspring and we're all creators, why is that so blasphemous? But somebody's going to blast me on that. If that goes out, like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
They're nuts.
Well, the old joke, I forget it now, but it's something about like, if you have a Mormon friend and you don't want them drinking all your beer, just bring another Mormon friend. Because they won't drink in front of each other.
Nobody's gonna touch either one.
They don't drink in front of each other, but they will drink by themselves.
On the side if you get them alone. All right, yeah. It took me a minute. I was slow on that one.
But I got a couple Mormon friends. They always, as far as Mormons, then we'll get off religion. But
sure, I am all about. I always enjoy your take on Jeshua.
Well, when it comes to like evidence, meaning they walk the walk, Mormons are great examples of being good human beings.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
Like every Mormon I know, I'm like, man, if the religion's real, like at least they believe it, because they're all very kind. They go on the missions. Like, dude, that's commitment. Like you must believe something, because like, dude, that's a 2-year mission. And then you send your kids off. Dude, my kid ain't going to Mexico to go preach nothing.
It's a lot, man.
So it shows me that they must really believe, and that's at least a good sign.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was very religious, extremely. Didn't miss a Sunday. I mean, I'm sure there's a few, but it was every Sunday till I was 35, and that was very much. Yeah, that was my absolute identity in life. So
what caused you to stop being Mormon?
That's a good question.
Couldn't drink Coca-Cola?
The Coke, that's what did me in. No. It's a heavy question. It could probably keep us on religion for the entire time we chat, which, hey, if that's where we want to go, that's cool. But I would say, without getting into, lots of research and history and things that I do have some concerns around and issues with, there was one primary thought in general, one thought-provoking thing that I had a hard time with. And I think this isn't just a Mormon thing. I think it's across religions in general for me. You've got thousands and thousands of religions, and each individual one, some have larger and more serious truth claims than other about being the only way or the only right, path. But the Mormon religion is definitely one that makes that claim. And even being one of the larger faiths, they're 0.0001% of the population. And so again, this isn't for me an attack in any way against Mormons, because my upbringing and so many values which I hold today come from that faith. But I just don't think any one is going to be the one that has 0.000x whatever percentage of people be the only ones that were right. I think we're all here to learn, and I think that's what we're doing. Yeah. I don't think any one person knows, or that anybody else is speaking for somebody else and gets to say this is the only way. And so,
all right, well, let's talk about money then. That's a better. Well, I don't know. I wouldn't say it's a better topic, but let's talk about money.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people listen to the show, dude. They're listening because they're either entrepreneurs, they want to be one, they have a business, they're looking at the stories. How do I grow my business? What's a hack I can implement? So in your case, door to door is obviously a whole entire industry. You've grew up in it.
Yeah.
And now you've got the best solar organization in the country.
Yeah. One of them. Yeah. I think we have one of them without question.
Who's better?
Better is a loaded question. Now,
well, no, that's subjective.
Yeah, I'm going to say best, of course, for my business, because my people, my culture, the support systems, I think we have the best organization all around. We are not the largest. There are companies that are larger. And I'm also one right now that I just try to operate out of a place of abundance. I've come from places, they're not even around anymore. RIP Solar City. Solar City was a phenomenal organization. I worked for almost 3 years at Legacy Power. And regardless of whether we're still aligned or not, they ran a really good organization. They have for a long time. You've got Solar Pros out there right now. They are the largest sales force, I think, in the country outside of Sunrun. Anyways, on the Freedom platform, 2 largest are Sunrun and Solar Pros. And I think Sunrun knocks it out of the park, and they think they've done a great job with leadership and culture. And I know a lot of the guys over there, Solar Pros, are partners on our platform with Freedom Forever, and they're absolutely smashing it and knocking it out of the park. Boundless is another one on our platform with Freedom.
Well, everybody says that solar's done.
Yeah. Oh man. The solar's done thing is funny. 2015 is when I started in the solar industry, and I had been in the smart home security space for 10 years. When I exited that space, I sat down with a mentor of mine that was at the company I was currently at, and told him I was ready to make a transition. I just needed something new. It was time for a change, and solar was pretty hot at the time. And I got told I was nuts because the tax credits were on the docket in 2015 to be removed, and that they were going to go away, and that the whole industry was going to die. And I was absolutely told I was making the dumbest move I could possibly make. And here we are 10 years later, and there's probably been 4 different times where tax credits have been proposed to be removed, altered, changed, you name it. And they have been changed a couple different times. And we've had times where they've had step downs and times where they've got extended. And, so every few years, a new change in political party comes in, and they want to look at things differently and maybe reassess what the tax credits and are from a federal level. And every single time it affects our business. It affects it from, the biggest place it affects it, people don't see as much, but that's the drill down, or the drip down, is it's the banks behind the scenes, the ones that are funding our finance companies that then trickle down to the installers and the sales companies. They get nervous. It's their money on the line at the end of the day. And so if tax credit's going to go away and they start putting a lot of money into, and that alters the business overnight, even if they don't think it's going to go through for sure, their risk assessment teams are going to pull back. They're going to play it safe. There's going to be less demand, and that's going to slow the capital, that goes into our businesses. And so, when people say solar's dead, and there's a lot of social media hype around that, and the majority of it is coming from other industries in the door-to-door space or sales spaces who know that solar has some of the best commission-based salespeople in the United States right now, some of the best hustlers, leadership. It's just the recruiting game. So they're going to take any uncertain thing they possibly can. They're going to spin it to their net benefit in efforts to recruit some really incredible people away, and hopes to show them a new vision, which is you would expect them to, so they're going to leverage that as much as they can. And the last couple of months for solar has been rough. We did have, a bill proposed in Trump's big, beautiful bill that would potentially eliminate the tax credits altogether. So for about 2 months, there was complete uncertainty. So you saw absolute, pandemonium of people posting all over solar's dead. And just like every other time, it goes back and forth. It usually doesn't land where they propose it to land. It falls somewhere in between. There's some alterations, and solar continues on. And I would say it's as good or better than it's ever been in my history of 10 years. Doesn't mean there's not challenges, but I haven't been in solar for the past 10 years where there hasn't been challenges, so. So
VITL Power is actively looking for people that want to go out and make some money and learn some killer skills in life. Where would listeners get involved?
Yeah. So VITL started in 2022 with an existing, group of salespeople that have been in the space a long time, leaders that have been in the space a long time. We partnered with the largest solar company in the United States. The largest, you go back and forth between Sunrun and Freedom, who was technically the largest. So I won't get into semantics because somebody's going to tap me on this thread and be like, Sunrun's bigger, but they're both 2 of the largest. But we partnered with them exclusively in 2022. They acquired half of our business last year, and we've seen exponential growth since then, and the last 2 months, we've seen definitely a little bit of like kind of where we're going. And now I would say our vision is as clear as ever. We are hiring hundreds of commission-based salespeople per month. We're in big box retail stores across the United States. There's never been a better time, in my opinion, to hop into solar. And I don't think even in 4 years, when these tax credits start to alter, something will change. They'll
4 years is a long time ago.
Yeah, you'll have a new political party in. They'll either get extended, or these businesses will all work towards where they really need to, which is operating without the tax credits and making solar viable for homeowners across the country. And, first, I would tell anybody out there, get into commission-based sales. If you're not, if you're young, you're looking for opportunity, or you don't know where to turn to, learn sales, period. Learn it. Learn commission-based sales. Get out of this view that you got to go work somewhere where somebody tells you what you're worth and you need this degree, or you don't need any of that. Get into commission-based sales, and it's going to create an opportunity at a bare minimum. Even if you get back into that space, you're going to have such a talent and a skill when it comes to communication that is going to lead to you having more opportunity if you do it. And the financial opportunity is incredible. Door to door has absolutely changed my life and a lot of people's lives. Solar specifically, I do not think there's a product with more opportunity financially, and it's not going anywhere.
What was easier to sell, alarms or solar?
I would say they're just different. Alarms was very fast paced, high pressure. I'm going to knock on your door. I'm going to get inside your home if I can, not like forcefully, but I'm going to try to transition into that house in the first, 5 or 10 minutes, get at your table, spend 20 to 40 minutes with you, getting you signed up, high pressure right then. And then I'm not leaving the house till a technician shows up and puts a panel on your wall and drills a hole in, and right now, right here, gotta go. Solar is, but when you get it, it's done. Solar, it's easier to talk to people, I think, on the front end, just because, everybody's already paying a power bill. So to me, we're not selling solar, we're selling electricity. And when you're selling a product, you need to know that people are going to buy your product. The biggest thing that deters salespeople is lack of belief. They stop thinking they're about to get a yes. And if you stop thinking you're about to get a yes, your work ethic's going to be all over the place. You're going to get distracted. You're going to take your eye off. You're not going to be locked in. If you believe you're about to get a yes, you're going to be locked in. So I look at it and I talk to people about solar, and it's like you're selling electricity to people who are all buying electricity, and you can sell it to them cheaper, and they have no other choice outside of you. It's the only product that's completely monopolized in our world that we don't think about. And it's the only bill that goes up every year that you can't get rid of. Your house, your car, everything else, eventually it's paid off. We owe nothing. Yeah, unless you're going to rent a home forever and pay a landlord, and prices are going to go up with inflation. Electricity is the only other thing we do that with. So solar is such a no-brainer product where it's easy to talk to people in my mind because they're already buying it. They're already paying electricity. So if I could sell it to them for cheaper and have it come from the sun instead of some shitty place it comes from now, what are we doing? And I love that about solar. I think it's something everybody should have.
What is the average income from a newbie in the solar business? Like if someone's listening, they're like, okay, maybe I'll go try this. What's a realistic average income for a person that's willing to do the work and, decently doing it?
Here's what I'm going to say, because here's the thing about door to door. Somebody that's trying to hype solar and door to door up may answer that and be like, oh, every year you can make a couple $100,000. Everybody's doing it. No, not everybody's doing it, but they absolutely can. So I've got guys that are 20 to 25 making several $100,000 a year. I got a 25-year-old to make over $1 million this year selling solar.
I was going to say, I know a solar kid he was like 23 doing $50,000 a month.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm like, a month.
Oh, we got guys doing that left and right. But I say left and right, that makes it sound like everybody's doing it. Those are your top 20%. What are they? Your top 1%ers.
Well, what are they doing?
Working. They're working all day. They're putting the hours in, and they're spending time studying and training. And the thing about solar is you can make real estate type commissions in a much shorter period of time than it takes to do a real estate deal, and you don't need a license for it. So the opportunity's there, but what happens is it's mindset controls people, right? If you've never made $100,000 before in your life, and $50,000 seems like a lot of money to you, and you can sell 1 or 2 a month and make that, you're going to sell 1 or 2 a month and make that because you see yourself as this $50,000 to $100,000 earner. And so shoot, if you go 50 to 100, maybe you're selling 2 or 3 or 4 an hour, whatever it takes to make $100,000. Now it's like, you feel like you're balling out, these young kids. But then you get the small percentage who look past that and go, oh my God, there's no cap. It's not about making $100,000. If I work for the next 5 years of my life, 8 hours a day, actually put the time in when I'm young and I have the energy to go do that, I could make $500,000 a year. I could change my life by the time I'm 25, and 1 to 20% of the people are going to do that. And the other 80% are going to be making 50 to, $150,000. And there's everywhere in between. And then there's a bunch of people who don't make it, who quit, who can't hack it. And it's not for them, or, for whatever reason, fall off. And door to door is always that way. You always have high turnover. You always have a lot of people that jump into it with high hopes that, the rejection and the mental game of it all just gets to them, and they decide to go a different direction. But for the ones who stick it out, the opportunities, and it's incredible. There's nothing else like it.
But the mental game, that's what makes me go, I don't get it. I mean, mental.
It's all of it.
Mental is not physical. Like, I'm worried about physical more than I am mental. Like, maybe I'm just wired that way. But if I knock on your door and you open the door and be like, you see the sign, prick, get off my porch, boom.
Sure.
It doesn't bother me. Why? Well, dude, first of all, they don't know me. Second of all, like now I think it's almost like a game. And it's like, how do I win this? And then worst case scenario, I just go to the next door. Like, I don't care that dude just did that. Is that what people are missing? They're worried about these rejections so much that they miss out on real money.
Oh, 1,000%. Think about it. If everybody knew, that's why I go back to the thing of believing you're going to get a yes. The problem is they get a few of those no's. Then they believe that's what they're going to keep getting.
They expect.
So now they don't want to knock. They don't want to work. They want to knock because they don't want that. It doesn't feel good. And that takes control of their mind.
So when you're training program, do you focus on mindset a lot?
Oh yeah. Like, I mean, we don't, if you go through our training course, right, VITL has a full, I would say probably the best online solar training platform of any business out there. I believe that fully from what we've put together. And before we even get into here's your sales approach, here's what you say, the entire first part of orientation is it's all mindset. And it's how you approach, your attitude towards the entire thing. And what you're going to deal with is you approach failure and how you need to view that, reframe it. It's just reframing everything.
Who's writing the training? You?
So we've got all of our top guys mixed in. One thing I did with our training that I did take a higher role in than maybe, your average executive might take in is I have 20 plus years of experience knocking myself, and I've been in the top 1% of reps. And so I think one thing people struggle with when they put together training platforms is oftentimes they get too many good guys together and all of their material at once, and they kind of bombard somebody with it when they're new. And then it's trying to figure out who to take what from. And so we built it to where they learn every step of my process, just from setting to closing. And then once they've graduated to a certain area, then we've got content from all the different top guys. Once you've got the foundation, then you can pick the nuggets and decide who fits your style the best. But we at least kind of try to keep it very streamlined. So you learn one system, one process, A to Z from one individual that's at least got the credibility of how to do the job. And most importantly, how to do it honestly and not say anything that's going to get a company in trouble or anything like that. Or put the customer in a bad position. So
if someone's listening to this and they're like, all right, I'm going to go try it. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
Which should be their attitude. Rather than pick up a shovel, pick up a hammer, put on a apron, like everywhere. And I'm thankful I see all these people everywhere I go. But everywhere I go, when I look at somebody, I think to myself, how are you willing to show up here every freaking day and serve people knowing that you're going to walk home with $100? Why wouldn't you just take the same time? Because it's just time. And go put it over here where you walk home with $1,000. And then they're sitting there trying to figure out how to get ahead in life. And I'm like telling people, you got to get in the position to receive commission, period. That's what everyone should be asking themselves. Am I in a position to receive commission? That's all you got to ask yourself. If the answer is no, well, then get in one. Why? Well, because I don't know of anyone making real money that isn't selling something to someone. So like that, just common sense tells me, well, I better get in a position to receive commission then. Even if it's part-time, you ain't got to quit your waiter's job. Oh. You got part-time opportunities, or are you guys balls to the wall or forget it?
So we run an interesting model, for the majority of our business. It's like, all in, balls to the walls, forget it. And if you don't do that, the thing about this job is you need to go all in. You do. However, we probably have one of the most unique sales models, in the space. And about 5 years ago, we're not the first ones to do this. People have been taking trips and blitzing in the door-to-door space for a long time. But about 5 years ago, we developed a model that we called 10 on, 20 off. A lot of people call it blitzing, call it whatever you will. But we structured a very organized, year-round, calendarized program where people would go out and work for 10 days a month. Part of the reason we did that is a lot of us lived in markets where solar was no longer a super viable market. And we wanted to travel to the markets that were the better markets. So we started working 10 days a month. So we still have a couple hundred guys inside of our organization. We've got multiple sales channels. One of them we call our X channel, X being the Roman numeral for 10. We send them out for 10 days. We cover their housing costs. They all live together. It kind of ended up becoming this little family and tribe, home away from home. And we have a lot of guys making multiple six figures, working 10 days a month and taking 20 days off. And what they do during those 20 days off, that's up to them. Go vacation, go take time off. Don't work extra hours with us. You got a side business, a dream that really is your ultimate thing. We've had people start and launch up their music careers. We've had people doing all sorts of side businesses that they run, but their core income and their it's just, you need a revenue generating machine to support whatever it is you want to do. If you don't want to do that forever, that's great. So we invite people to do that if they have some dream they want to chase that's not this forever. But if you're going to work 10 days a month, those 10 days are beyond all in. It is an absolute grind. 10 to 12 hour days. You are locked in. And if not, you're not going to last in that program.
Do you ever have people call and get in fights, or I'm sure there's women in these houses. Don't you get like any liability with the old humpy?
So let's just say, man, we could go into some stories on this one.
Well, someone's having sex if there's men and women in these houses.
You're probably not wrong.
Why are you guys giggling? Is that how y'all met or something?
Listen, HR purposes, how deep we go. No, I think, it's a pretty male dominated industry, and historically, for 15 years of my career, I don't even have any females around in my offices. What's been really cool about VITL is we actually have had a large, female presence for door to door anyways, which is typically a male dominated industry. And
I think a female would crush the solar industry.
We have some of our absolute top performers at VITL are women, and they have it's been really cool. The energy they bring, the competition they bring, and the way that they've represented for women. It's been awesome to see. And I think they absolutely have an edge and a leg up in door to door. There's people are so much less likely to, be quite as condescending or disrespectful. Not that it doesn't happen for those out hustling. The ladies are going to be like, I go through that shit too. But, but
that's mindset again.
Of course.
I mean, the women that are sitting there saying, it's men are hitting on me. It's like, listen, there could be things going on way worse. Like, you ain't got no money.
For sure.
If I'm a guy and I worked around a bunch of women and I was being hit on all day, I'll get over it. Now, again, I've never been a woman, so I don't know what it feels like, but it seems like it's still a mindset issue, as long as they're not obviously touching physically. But if I'm a female with my mind, dude, I'm going to get into a sales game because, dude, they have the advantage. They're female. Yep. Men all automatically start wars and fight over females. They've got a power that I don't think sometimes recognize in the sales industry. That's why you don't see a bunch of them in there, but the ones you do see are crushing it. Why doesn't other women go, damn, I'm going to go try this?
Yeah. We've got some incredible women in our business. And, if you're female listening to this, like, I could tell you right now, we've got phenomenal positions and opportunities inside VITL. Yeah. Reach out to us. That being said, I don't want to side skirt your previous question though. Yes, we've had Airbnbs. Yes, we've had real world road rules style drama that if we just would have had some cameras out there, we probably could have created a pretty incredible, reality TV series. But also a lot of them are 1099 contractors. We try to make sure people are put in positions that they're safe, where we can avoid a lot of those things. Some of that comes from experience.
How many
time and so from a liability standpoint, a lot of it's not directly on us, but we also we've learned a lot over the last 5 years, and early on, we definitely ran into more of that. And we started to realize that we've got to go about things different ways and make sure
how many of them go and form an LLC?
Oh, everybody, unless they,
Unless they're stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. No, if you're in commission-based sales, you form an LLC, you pay yourself as a business. The tax write-offs are absolutely.
But do all your guys do that?
They're instructed to. Not only that, so in our academy, we've partnered with a company called Cashflow Tactics, run by Ryan Lee. He's co-authored a book with Robert Kiyosaki. We've put together an entire tax strategy and financial literacy course, like, for beginners, pretty basic, not to overcomplicate it, but every one of our rookies, when they come in and they're onboarded, is put through, what we call our smart money course, which teaches them the basics and gives them, direction on how to establish that. And
dude, it sounds like you guys are dialed in. I mean, dialed in, because like you wouldn't think most people care that much. Like some companies are like, dude, just go sell some shit. Come on, let's sell something. But to think, hey, 1099, go get an LLC. Here's some tax advantage strategies that'll save you more money, which is why I say everyone should have a business. Everyone should have a business, even if they don't plan on operating it. Like you should live as an entity and have all of your pay, regardless of where it's coming from, come into that entity. And then that entity can pay bills and expenses and then get taxed on what's left. If you're an individual, you make all your money, get taxed on the top line, and then you pay bills with what's left. Like it's backwards. You don't want to live as an individual.
No, yeah, you just
DM me the word. No, just
said it. No, you said it. And it's interesting after so many people look at the door-to-door space and they see it as just this, go out and sell and try to make money. It is that, there's a piece of that. And you get a lot of bad actors like we've talked about in it that mess it up for people. But those who understand it, especially once you've been in the space long enough, you've made enough mistakes. You've had enough, and people don't talk about this enough, but you've had enough loss as a leader, as you try to build and grow and recruit teams under you and develop those people and put time and energy into them. You think that they're going to be with you forever. And the reality is they're not. Some of them are going to see opportunity elsewhere and they're going to quit and they're going to leave you. And over time you start to recognize, like, you can be pissed off at it and you can look at it and be like, fuck that guy. He left me and he's not. Over time you have to start saying, all right, well, what am I doing to cause that? Or what am I not doing that could help create something more? Because if all it is just a sales and money game, you will be a revolving door. You have to have more,
purpose.
Your purpose and the why behind everything that's happening has to be far greater than the commission behind whatever the next sell is. So you've got to create, really at heart, all we are is a talent acquisition, recruiting, and self-development business. That's all we see here. Solar happens to be the product that we think is the best offering currently in our environment to offer. But at the end of the day, we acquire talent and we develop it and we create incredible sales experience and culture. And hopefully what people see, I mean, we spend more time around people we work with than anybody else, our families in most cases, and I think people miss out on the culture and the brotherhood, not to exclude the ladies in this, but that people feel oftentimes growing up on sports teams and you've got to create that. I think people miss that brotherhood or that family style feeling of a team. So you've got to be able to create team environments and you've got to have people feel like there's a much greater vision, greater purpose than just the commission behind the next door, and what is everybody collectively building together and how can you all add value to each other? Because you go a lot further together than you do alone. So
if you're offering 1099 opportunities, wouldn't it be possible for a guy like me to roll in, get a job with you as a 1099 and then build my own organization?
Yeah, that's what we do, right? Yeah,
but I mean,
we've got guys that have come in that are 20 years old and they succeed, right? And 12 months later, they've gone and made $100,000 when shoot, the most they'd ever made before was minimum wage, $15 an hour, flipping burgers or whatever job they came from. Maybe they were driving Uber or something like that. Like I actually, one of my first hires was an Uber driver from Iran. Shout out to Moeen if you listen to this at some point. He was making well over 30 grand a month, at different times while he was with us.
Just knocking on doors.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. But anyways, we get people coming from all different places that, 12 months later, they've changed their life. They're in a totally different space than they have. So what do? They go tell all their buddies about it and try to help them, see what the opportunity is. And not every one of them are going to make it, but they build their own business in a business. They build their own teams.
How much can they
their
make?
Own teams, their own regions. No, that's what I got. I got 25-year-old in our business right now that will make well over $1 million and has, several hundred people now that he's built and they're all, young 20s for the most part.
Yeah, but how? Let's say I start.
Yeah.
And then I go get 5 of my friends. How do I make money? Because my friends came.
Yeah, so we've got a very clear path to progression in our business, right? So you go from being an appointment setter and learning how to just schedule appointments and approach people on doors if you don't have those skills already built up. And
do you have to do that
in the space? That's where we start everybody. Yeah.
So you have no choice. So if Brad Lee just applied, you're going to make me set appointments first?
Absolutely.
Dirty dog.
100%.
That's why you don't have Brad Lee.
Do the hardest job. Well, here's the deal, right? Here's what happens and here's why you got to. Your next level is, okay, now I can learn up. Now I can go into homes and start closing. What happens when your appointments dry up, Brad? What are you going to do? Are you sit in the car waiting around for the next appointment, or are you going to get your ass out and go create your own appointment? And that's so much.
I'm going to knock on a door.
That's what I'm saying, right? But if you never learned that piece first,
how hard is this?
Exactly. So we make everybody start there, and
what's the number?
Nobody's above that. Our managers, our regional managers, they all still knock doors. Now they get appointments fed to them in between.
What's the number one?
That's not coming through.
What's the number one objection they get at the door, you think? The number one objection that they're going to hear at the door?
Sure. It's going to depend by market, right? You know, your most basic immediate is just the general, you know, disposition to say no to a salesperson, which is just, I'm not interested. They don't even need a reason. They're just not interested because they don't want to talk to you. They don't know you. You just showed up. You're the 20th door-to-door guy that's been on their porch at some different time for a different price. It's just no, I'm just not interested, right? Next, you're going to get into markets that are quote unquote what people will call saturated. You go out to California, you're the 20th solar guy on their porch, probably that month, you know, and a lot of people look at that and it's like, that's a terrible neighborhood. I'm the exact opposite.
Me too. It's a game to me. Like 20 couldn't do it. Let me see what I can do.
If I'm the 20th guy and you still don't have it up there, and I know the rates you're paying for electricity, you got 19 dudes that couldn't help you see that. What did they miss? Right. So I have to address that. I got to approach them in a way where it's like, listen, I know you've had 19 other guys stop by. Probably made no sense. Here's probably the reasons why it didn't. We're introducing something new. This is how it works. If it doesn't work for you, it's cool, but this is what would happen. And you're going to burn through that, and you're going to overcome those objections before they arise. It's it's sales 101. It's, you know, the most 5 common objections, you overcome them before you get there. And this stuff can all be trained, right? People look at this as like, I would never go knock a door. And that's half the problem, by the way. It's the perception of being called a door-to-door salesman. People don't want that attached to their ego.
Yeah. See, again, I wouldn't even care about those. Right. Why? Because, dude, they're dumber than a box of rocks. I've had people tell me.
That's why you got a multi-million-dollar following and you say whatever the hell you want because you don't care what people think, right? And
and because I've been in those situations where I've been called, like, you know, I sold cars once, you know. I mean, I sold cars plenty of times, but I was, he's a freaking used car salesman. Well, first of all, I sold new ones too, bitch. Second of all, you know, I was making $300,000 a year as a salesperson, right, selling cars.
Hey, call me whatever you want.
Yeah, and people like making $60,000 calling me, "Ooh, you're a salesman." Yeah. I don't know what "ooh" means. Well, it's because they see something in me that they don't have, so they don't like it about me, when in reality, all they're doing is they're projecting their shortcomings onto you. Yep. Because if I said, I'll teach you how to ethically help people get transportation for the best deal possible, why is that ooh? Because they just assume that, oh, you're a dirty, slimy, and then door to door, they just imagine all the rejection. And it's like, dude, you know, these people, they open the doors and they buy shit. And not only that, if you walk in with the right energy, which people don't do, that's it. If I'm expecting somebody to be upset, they're more likely to be upset. Like, why would I expect it? I would be the opposite. I'd be like surprised. It makes me want to go do it only just to show people. Cause someone told me one time that stand-up comedy is difficult. And, you know, I'm like, dude, it can't be that difficult. You get up there and you fucking talk. How difficult can it be? He said, I dare you to come down here and do it. I have a comedy show. You come down and do it. Let's see ya. So I went down and did it. Matter of fact, go look on YouTube and type in
people laughed.
CEO does stand-up comedy. You'll see. I put the video online so everyone can see it. And I did 23 minutes of stand-up comedy. They couldn't believe it.
You just got up and
it was
no script, just ripped off.
Yeah, I mean, afterwards I saw where I could have been better.
Sure.
But, you know, never have done it. And I guarantee you it was better than probably people that have been doing it for years. Why? The energy, the mind. I'm not afraid that you're not going to think I'm funny. Matter of fact, I'll bet you will. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's the same thing with door to door. Like, don't expect that you're going to interrupt them in dinner and they're going to answer the door pissed. Be surprised when they do. Like, I'm just here to help you, bro. Like, I apologize I interrupted your dinner, but by the time I'm done, trust me, you're going to be eating more than the pork and beans I see over there on your plate. Like, is that all you can afford? Probably because it's damn power bill. You got any superstars that came out with any kind of catchphrase that works implicitly?
You just mean like on the door sales tactics?
Yeah, like because I get a lot of door-to-door guys listening to this show. And by the way, that's why I'm bringing up, hey folks, you want to make some money, you're not making money. Go to a team where they are and they've got experience and apply. And guess what? Worst case scenario, 3 months later, go back to the other bullshit you were doing. But if you're not making money, and when I say money, I'm thinking at least 20 grand a month. If you're not making 20 grand a month, you must not be selling the right shit. So go try solar. Go try it. I have a merchant services company. Oh, by the way, you guys take credit cards over there at VITL?
All financed through banks on the side, but
well, if you need merchant accounts,
unfortunately,
that's us.
If we could swipe cards,
Well, it's another industry where people don't get it because businesses will kick you out. You're the 100th guy that says you can save me on my credit cards.
Of course.
But an individual can spend a couple of years, which isn't long, and they pay attention. I mean, again, it's not as easy as I'm making it sound, but it is easy.
Isn't it though?
It is, but it's just not as easy as I make it sound because like people don't realize, yes, you're going to get rejected. Yes, you're going to go home feeling like it's not working. You probably are going to have rent due before you make your first check. Well, guess what? That's called pain. That's called the fire. And to me, the success people are looking for is on the other side of that. So to me, I'd be looking for it. Like I want to be uncomfortable. I want to get the door slammed in my face, and I want it to happen so often because it's only going to need to happen a certain amount of times before I bust through. And that's where I want to go. So like, it doesn't bother me mentally.
Well, so here's the reality, even though I get it. There are more complications. You got to learn some shit. You got to figure out what to say and how to respond to certain things. And there's training that goes into all of it, but it actually is that easy. If you carry that mindset and you work all the hours and that's your energy all day, I don't care. You could go out with no training and you'll set appointments all day long with people that are interested enough to get a quote for so like, that's it. But now, people lose that energy somewhere along the way. They go, I'm going to go out with that. Somebody does something else and they take control of their energy and they can't control their own energy. If you could control your energy all day long,
you can, not if.
But where I'm saying to an individual, right? The problem is most don't know how. It's the only difference. And the top performers, all they've learned to do, it's not that they don't get the no's. And sometimes they'll still affect them. It's the length of time that they affect them for. So it's like, if I have some absolute asshole come out at me hot, my blood for sure rises up. The temperature gets a little bit hot. My nervous system kicks in. That I feel that. Difference is I'm aware of it. I sense it. And I'm like, oh, hold up. Reset before I hit the next door. And then it's gone. It's over. Somebody else is going to carry that in the next 4 doors. So then the shitty response happens. It just carries it through and then it's all over and their day's wrecked. And
then their wife calls and says, hey, did you make any money? Because we need to pay rent.
Right. Stress kicks in.
It's time to quit.
Now they're desperate. They got commission breath.
Told you not to do this.
Customers can feel them begging for it. Like they need it rather than they're just here to help them. I don't care. The energy's amazing. If you can just carry great energy all day long, you'll succeed at this job, period.
You'll succeed at any job. In sales.
Yep.
Because when people come to me about sales, I say, listen, I'm the only one that's going to teach you to stop being a salesman. You're coming here to learn how to be a sales pro. I'm going to teach you how to stop being a sales pro. I want you to be a help person, not a salesperson. Shifts their energy if they can grab that and like understand what I'm saying. Because dude, when I sell people shit, I swear I do not try to sell them. I'm just trying to help. Like if I can help you with your training, it's already kick ass. But if Lightspeed can help you, that's what I'm interested in. If I can't help you, bro, you got it covered. I don't want your money. I'm not trying to close you. I don't need people's business. And I really don't. And people are like, well, that's because you already have money. How do you think I got it all?
That's how I got it.
Yeah. Because you quit worrying about selling and closing and you start worrying about helping. And if you just help, your energy shifts just a little bit. You connect more, you build better relationships. People trust you quicker. And it's all about trust, which is why I don't understand in the door-to-door space, why solar companies don't become roofing companies that don't become garage door companies. Like why, if you sold me my solar, why don't you sell me the rest of the shit?
I think there's opportunity in that. And I think you're going to see a shift, a hard shift in specifically the solar space, but really not just solar space. I think you're seeing a lot of that pop up in the home services industry where you're seeing a lot of crossover to products and
Well, here's what it would sound like. My friend, I appreciate your solar business. And I don't know if you know this, but I want to be the guy that you call when it has anything to do with your home. And if I can't do it, I'm going to find and vet the person who can, so you don't have to worry about getting screwed, dicked, robbed, and all that. Fair enough? I'd like to be the guy that you call for anything. Your landscaping changes, your pool's getting dirty. Anytime you think anything about your house, I want you to think Bradley, and I want you to call me. Here's my cell phone. Roofs, garage doors, water heater, anything with this house. Paint. You want to paint your house? I'm your guy. Now, again, I'm not the guy that knows everything, but I am the guy that knows everyone, and I'll make sure you never get dicked and you always get the best service. Fair?
No,
glass, cleaning glass. I might have a 15-year-old on a freaking in his brand new car show up and squeegee your ass all the way to the freaking clean. But call me. Fair enough? Now, again, just that relationship. I don't need to be a painter. I just need to know painters. So next thing you know, I build this network of homeowners that call me for everything. But what do they do now? Hey, I got an issue over here with the glass company. Yeah, I don't do glass, bro. You just missed money.
I think it'll be one of the largest opportunities over the coming.
Why don't me and you start
10
that?
plus years.
Real Home Solutions.
Let's go.
I'll get you a sales force if you can train them and lead them.
You're gonna see incredible amounts, in my opinion, of abundant-minded partnerships, strategic alignments with different companies in the home services space that come together that I think, it's going to be massive opportunity for those that are currently in the space. And so you're dead on. I think, the only thing I think you have to be careful about with that, right, to play devil's advocate, not because I don't believe in that vision. I think absolutely you're going to see companies capitalize on that. It's just getting distracted, right? You've got to have a sales force that if you sell everything, you sell nothing sometimes, right? It's the overcomplication of too much. So the strategy has to be right of getting in first, and then when the timing of approachment and who's approaching it. Is it through tech with apps? Is it done by that one person on the front end? Is it a call center on the back end? There's a lot of different strategies that you've got to go through. Is it, dude,
1-800-Flowers doesn't have a flower shop. It's all about the lead. It's all about the relationship. Why can't people get that?
Yep.
You're building relationships with the solar. Yep. You're just ignoring all the other areas that you could help because, we got to focus. Again, who says? Yep. Give me that relationship. Let me nurture that relationship, and I'll beat you one day if you're just doing solar. Yep. Why? Well, because, dude, you already knocked on the door. You're already in the neighborhood. You already met the person. They trust you. All that other shit, dude, is just a conduit. Call me. Hey, everybody who's listening to this, I was going to say, hey, call Tyler, but no, call me.
Call Brad.
Okay, I'll get you to Tyler. Right?
No, you're dead on. I mean, it's true.
I'm not
who controls the lead.
That's what I'm talking about.
It's the top of the funnel. It's the first step in the sales process. From there, where does it go?
And it's the most important, if you ask me. Because right now, if I knew 1,000 people that wanted a solar job on their house, would you pay me for those?
Oh yeah, it's not even a
See,
question.
I don't even have to. I don't have to do solar. I just need the relationships.
Well, shoot, I showed you that app and the tech that we've been building in our business, and it all stemmed because of that right there. We've got a lot of cool sales support and competitions and leaderboards, and this app has developed over time. But it started with one thing: how do we land more lead partnerships, and how do we track those lead partnerships, and how do we funnel them to our people so that they get more business and we provide more value to our closers outside of just, you can sell solar through us. You can sell solar through 1,000 different companies, but nobody's going to give you this type of training and these lead funnels that you wouldn't get elsewhere. And so you've got to, as a business, provide more value, and the leads are the top of the funnel. And it's one of the greatest ways you can provide value. And there will be hundreds of companies that create home service partnerships, exactly what you're talking about right now, that will go achieve those visions. And we will guaranteed see over the next, 10, 20 years, more and more of that than I think we've ever seen.
Folks, if you guys, by the way, want to go follow this cat, Ty.Bastian, Bastian. That's your Instagram?
Yeah.
At Ty, Ty.Bastian. And then his company at VITL.official. And then last question I have for you is, why is art dangerous?
Man, I think it's because you can't control what somebody decides it means.
That's unfortunate too, because I've seen some shit that they call art. It's just foolishness.
That's true. Hey, that's true.
True. I seen this guy running around with a briefcase and like half naked, and he was all fat and like gross, and he was doing these stupid movements, and literally had a crowd of people, and it was art. Like, see, dude, what's wrong with this society now?
Somehow there was a crowd, you know.
But why is it art?
I don't know. That would be my best answer, though.
I wonder what.
Mostly, I'm a hat guy, so I just like the hat. You know, and it wasn't that deep.
Well, I'm gonna give you a real hat.
If I was to try to make it that deep, you know.
You want a real hat?
I'll take any hat you give me.
I'll give you a real hat.
Shoot, give me a new hat, and I'll sign up for anything.
And a real shirt. Get it? All right. Well, listen, dude, I appreciate you coming in. I see big things. I'm going to go check out the Joshua Tree place.
It's true. We just got done showing them an Airbnb that was unbelievable.
Well, don't tell nobody until I get there. Otherwise, it'll be booked out.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go hit that Joshua Tree. Anything the Bomb Squad can do for you?
Yeah, I feel like you already did, man. We got a lot of good value this morning, understanding Lightspeed, the platform, and how that can better, just help scale sell forces across the.
How can the listeners help?
Oh, the Bomb Squad. Those are the listeners.
That's right.
Oh, shoot. Well, I mean, if you're on here, then you're doing it. You're listening, right? You're spreading good energy. You're spreading positivity. You're trying to figure out how to get better. I think they're doing it.
Also, I'm thinking about putting together, I've dubbed it the nuclear network, just to go with the whole bombs theme. But guests, some sort of private group where guests can like somehow network and
mastermind.
Yeah. Well, I mean, on occasion.
A nuclear mastermind.
Yeah, but it's not necessarily a mastermind, but it is like that, meaning like how can, like you're on the show, there's been 900 guests. They're all, like us, not all of them, but they all have something. And, that's what it's all about, relationships. So I was thinking like, how can I put those all the guests in a network, whether it be deal flow or resources or just travel clubs. I've always wanted to put together a travel club, curate kick-ass experiences and just like whoever wants to go. And if you don't. But like if someone told me, Brad, there's a group of people, they're all cool as shit. And they all every 6 months hit one kick-ass spot for 4 days, like Joshua Tree,
Listen, her favorite thing to do is to run events. So if you could
like someone good like
help
that.
You out right there.
Yeah, because I might not even do half the cool shit someone with creativity that understands event planning would put together. Yeah. You know what I mean? But like little group like that amongst the guests, call it like the network or the nuclear network. But it's not something you can join unless you're on Dropping Bombs. So you'd be an honorary member, inductee.
I think you should do it. Why haven't you done it already?
Well, I got to think through.
What are you waiting for?
I got to think through how it's all done. Because if you leave it to me, all I'm going to do is like give everyone each other's phone number and say, holla if you need me.
Find a good spot to go, find an event planner, book the first one, see who shows up and go from there.
And only invite past guests.
Yeah, you don't have to have it all planned.
I also want to do it for deal flow.
Just throw it out there.
Because like if I told you about a deal, you might be like, damn. And all of a sudden I raise $20 million amongst 900 plus people, all, I keep sliding off this damn chair, all very successful in most cases. Dude, that's, you could put together a deal, boom, fund it, bang. And it's just 10 people that were on the show all threw in a mill. Bang. Now all of a sudden we got Real Home Solutions kicked off.
There he goes.
No, I'm not doing that. There's too many logistics, dude.
Well, let's book a trip at the bare minimum.
Yeah, I like to travel.
Let's get out here and let's get some cool people together.
Travel club, cigars and cars and war stories.
Yeah.
Cigars, cars, and war stories. I like that too. But I appreciate it. Folks, go follow this dude. You ain't got a book yet, do you?
No book, man.
You need a book.
I should probably write one.
and you're starting to get followers because you're posting all over your social media. What are you dropping every day?
I'm starting to figure it out. Social media thing is new to me, man. I hadn't done, I post stories and random stuff, from time to time, but heading into 2025, social media is such a, if you haven't previously spent a lot of time on it, similar to door to door, it's uncomfortable. You got to go get in front of a lot of people and not give a shit what they say and start to, throw stuff out there and figure out what works and what doesn't work. So I'm playing around with it and starting to pick up a little bit and learn some things, but long way to go. I feel like we're in the very, very beginning.
I'm going to give
stages.
you a guide that helped me. And because I think we need more real people that are like, they've already done it. They're just not on social media. Cause right now social media is filled with people that claim to have done it, but they ain't done shit. There's too many of them. We need to equal the playing field and get some real hustlers, real people that have done it, but are just not visible.
Agreed.
Till next time.
Here for it, man.
What's
Ready
that?
for the tips. I said here for it.
Well, I got a whole book for you. I just forgot to cover it because we were shooting the shit.
I would love it.
All right, folks. Till next time. Keep it real.